All right, let's start off with an update on the Warriors, who are well into preparations for the invitational match against Botswana this Saturday. The squad held their first 2 training sessions today at the Botswana Football Association's Lekedi Football Center in Gaborone under the watchful eye of interim head coach Baltimore Brito and his staff. So the Brazilian gaffer has chosen Peter Mdua as his captain for this assignment. The Highlanders stalwart spoke to the Zifa media team after the first training session and expressed his excitement to be playing for the nation.
Uyabona movement lama players asizisana sijayelene ama players adlala sonke lamanye balutshwana sesiqasa udlala sonke la but ngiyakwazi usikhatanga ngomuntu onjani yabe ngikwazi so akulanto engabanzima kakhulu. Kuyajabulisa cause ezeZimbabweans siyafuna ukuthi sibukele national team and nxa national team ikhona kuyanceda lama clubs ukuthi ba improve cause wonke umuntu uyafudla national team akula umuntu uyafudla eZimbabwe. Ikho ngakutsho ukuthi siyathaba kakhulu ukuthi national team siphendukile nama supporters ethu eZimbabwe abe happy kakhulu. Sibathembisa ukuthi besisekele kakhulu and sibathembisa ukuthi sizadlala ngokuqinile kakhulu labo bengasupporta kakhulu bebe lathi.
Okay, so that was Warriors captain for this weekend, Peter Mdua, speaking to the Zifa media team. Simba, we'll start off with you. How happy are you? In particular with the choice of Peter Mdua as captain. Of course, I know regular listeners know that Simba has a lot of choice words for Peter Mdua's behavior during some of the matches for Highlanders in the Castle Premier Soccer League. But in terms of his overall leadership, his ability on the field, do you think it's the right decision or someone else should have been given the armband for this game?
I was just looking at the players that are there, and I just saw that he was the one who was deserving because, you know, as a coach, you look at somebody who has got that command inside the field of play, somebody who's got that passion. Yes, yeah, there might be reservations about some of his antics when he's playing local football. But again, as a coach, there are things that you also need in a player. And if you ask some coaches, they would say, I would need such kind of a player. You just also need to tame how he also behaves, when to stop. But you know, overall, when you look at the players that are there, the senior players, Yim Karamin, God knows Murira. Of course, you may look at Donovan Bernard. But after looking at all those players, I think the choice still goes back to him.
Ash, your immediate reaction there to Peter Mdua's selection there as the captain?
Yeah, look, I think to say deserving, it's subjective. It's a matter of choice here. I think Brito picked Peter Mdua because, number one, he's passionate. I mean, some can call it, what are you calling it, Simba? Antics? I don't know how you call it, whatever you call that as well. But it's passion as far as I'm concerned and commitment, and doesn't get better than Peter Mdua. I actually believe Peter Mdua is being treated unfairly, maybe at an institutional level, maybe even by the PSL themselves, who called him for a hearing and publicized the hearing. So he 2 days after appearing before a disciplinary committee, right? And then he goes to Botswana, and then a day later he's captain. That tells you something about a player. As far as I'm concerned, Peter Mdua is box office. He's one of those players like Denver Mkamba. He's an icon in our league, and I think we should celebrate our heroes really more than crucify them, as far as I'm concerned, even for antics that they call them as well. I think for me, as far as publicizing that hearing, I still have a problem with that. Because players are called or summoned for hearings, usually it is not publicized. Last year, in July, there was a football player who assaulted an assistant referee, you know, in the PSL, during a PSL match. You know, it was not publicized. The player was called for a hearing. The public does not know his name, you know, even up to now. And if we're going by, maybe we're trying to make an example out of a player to say, okay, we'll publicize this one and you go for a hearing. I guess when the results come, they're also going to publicize that as well. But Peter Mdua as well to say, and maybe try and justify whatever it is they're pushing as well. To me, it's unfair because there is a player who actually did much worse last July and the public does not know his name. I know his name, but it will never be revealed because the PSL decided the hearing is secret. They would do it the same way they usually do their hearings. This one was just unfair as far as I'm concerned. So I'm glad. I think this actually vilifies guys who support Peter Mdua to say he is a committed player, he's passionate. You won't get someone who's genuine about a team like Peter Mdua. And I think for me, he plays with his heart on his sleeve, and that's a captain quality as far as I'm concerned. So he deserves this as well. It's for him and everything that's been going on. Not necessarily to say he's he's the best candidate for the job in the squad, I think there are at least 10 players you can select, if I'm being fair. But Peter Mdua, for all that's been done against him, I'm happy that he's gotten this armband.
Well, someone a lot of people would have considered as a potential Warriors captain is Frank Makarati, the Dynamo skipper. Unfortunately, of course, as you know, he had to drop out of the squad. So he told local media today that he is disappointed to be dropped from the Warriors squad for their game against Botswana. Of course, Makarati, together with Andrew Mbeba from Highlanders, were withdrawn from the squad to allow their clubs to fulfill Chibuku Super Cup quarterfinal matches set for the weekend. FIFA rules state that a club is not obliged to fulfill domestic games if 3 or more of its players are away on international duty. So Makarati said that it's every player's dream to play for the national team because it gives a player a lot of exposure. He has though picked himself up and is focused on the game against league champions FC Platinum in the Chibuku Super Cup this weekend. Back to you, Ash. You've got some very strong thoughts on this now. My question to you is, it's outside of the international window, this match against Botswana.
There we go.
It's not international duty as we know it. So why were Zifa and the PSL and the clubs having to work out which players to have to drop out and thereby cause so much disappointment for a very good player like Frank Makarati in particular?
Yeah, I feel for Frank. I feel for Ndrumbe, but they do not deserve to be dropped. If I'm being honest, Frank doesn't deserve to be in Zishavani. He deserves to be in Gaborone with the Warriors, earning a good allowance, wearing a nice kit and playing alongside, other national team players. That's what he deserves, if I'm being honest. He doesn't deserve to be playing Chibuku. And for me, no disrespect to Chibuku, but Chibuku and Warriors can never be in the same sentence, as far as I'm concerned. The problem now is when we talk about FIFA laws, I feel we need to be consistent when we apply them. It's nice now. The PSL were within their rights to say what they're saying. To say, yes, it's not a FIFA international week, and this is not an international fixture. So please compromise and make sure that we also fulfill our fixtures. But you go back to 15 April 2023. They had the Highlanders versus Dynamos. That game was postponed because there was the Independence Trophy that happened 3 days later. And the teams had to play in the Independence Trophy in Mount Darwin as well. And they decided to postpone the Battle of Zimbabwe from 15 April to the 25th of May. Why? Because there was a match of national interest. It was our independence. The problem is with Zimbabwe, our heritage is actually built on that in football. When you talk about COSAFA, the last time we won COSAFA was in 2018. COSAFA did not fall on a FIFA international calendar or international week. It was the 25th of May to the 9th of June. The FIFA International Week started on the 13th and the 14th of June as well. But this is a trophy we've won 6 times. Most times we've won it, it's never recognized by FIFA. It's never on a calendar or on a week recognized by FIFA. So, if we're being fair, COSAFA is actually in the same boat as even this friendly against Botswana. And there's never this noise about, okay, the PSL has to continue. Because why? Number one, it's national interest. And 2, these are the most important fixtures for the Warriors. It's the only friendly we'll probably get before we play Rwanda and Nigeria. So as far as I'm concerned, it should take precedence. Yes, you can waive that FIFA international rule, but you have to be consistent. They're not consistent about it in April as well before independence. Independence does not fall on FIFA International Week, our independence. But they had to do it as well because it's national interest. It's a national program. Same with this one. This one was not actually arranged by Zifa. This is government to government because it's Botswana, the country celebrating its independence. So that's why it is an honor for our team to go there. So it's the same thing for me. So I don't understand the noise. I think it's unfair to waive this law when you're not being consistent about it.
My view is what happened in April in terms of the Independence Cup game, that Dynamos Highlanders game was postponed. Why was then that consideration not given to the clubs for these Chibuku Super Cup games to be moved to a midweek, Simba? Because those are the times when you can say...
PSL postponed that match, right?
Yes, PSL postponed the match. The PSL is in charge of the Chibuku Super Cup. Why could they also not postpone the Chibuku Super Cup quarterfinals to midweek games, Simba?
I don't know. I would also have, to hear from them. But I also understand that the request from the Botswana government didn't just come a few days ago, right?
It came a long time ago. They knew in advance, yeah.
And you also had a meeting between, the authorities, the normalization committee and the PSL when they decided that, the club that had 3 players had to drop 1 player. And I thought a meeting should have been held a long time ago to decide when are we going to have, this tournament, and so that there are not going to be any disturbances. And just have a waiver, like we are going to have midweek fixtures next week.
Completely. So a lot of confusion there, and leading up to severe disappointment for very big players. Frank Makarati and Rumbeba probably feeling very, very hard done by having to drop out of the Warriors squad. Let's hear some of your messages. The WhatsApp platform, TK the Plumber in Vulao, you're saying I would have preferred Kadir Amini to be captain of the Warriors this weekend. Elda Samanyanga Pa bank it up by saying after picking Dynamo's Highlanders coaches as national team coaches, that also followed that the captain should come from these teams as well. Because I heard you saying other than Peter Mdua, the other person who could be captain should be Frank Makarati. I didn't say should be. I said one of the others who could have been is Frank Makarati. And no, it doesn't follow that they have to be also playing for the national team coaches. Then you say Mudua is not suitable to be Warriors captain. Dediwa Maka. That's all you have to say. You do not expound on that. And then Love Mumafua and Harare. And you are waiting for his judgment to send a clear message to other players. For me, Peter's behavior is very questionable. Another one here saying, hi sports team, Peter was used because he's a top player so as to send a message, otherwise he deserves and then you rather insult him there.
Why are you making him a poster boy for what is that? Indiscipline? Why? That's unfair, you know.
And the lazy donkey Muharare. Very interesting name there. And then last one, another one for Amini, saying he would have been a better choice for captain. And then you say, will the match be televised? We'll certainly let you know exactly how you can keep up with the events on Saturday. Thank you for your messages. Keep them rolling in. We'll try and get through them before the end of the show.
This is the Daily Sports Zone. Star FM, your first choice for sport.
Okay, so we've been mentioning a lot about the Chibuku Super Cup quarterfinals this weekend. No, there are two very big games. You have Dynamos taking on FC Platinum, the other Glamour tie. Obviously, Highlanders and Caps United at Barber Field on Sunday. The two sides come into the big game in poor form. Makepekepe in particular, looking like they have a relegation fight on their hands after a 9-game winless run has them just 2 points above the drop zone. So the knockout tournament presents a great opportunity to reignite their season heading into the final straight. The Green Machine will be missing striker William Manondo and defender God knows Murira as they're in Botswana with the Warriors. Assistant coach Fungai Tostao Kwashi believes the club has able replacements to cope with their absences.
Obviously, any team in the world would like to play with their best players or with their full complement. But also, if you look at the other side of the coin, it's actually an opportunity for the guys who have not been getting starts to get an opportunity to shine. So sometimes these things, they work as a blessing in disguise. So the guys who don't get the chance, they should take it and grab it by the scruff of the neck and give an excellent performance. We wish Murira and Manondo all the best at the national team, but the football club has enough personnel, enough quality players to replace them for this weekend and get the results.
Okay, that was Caps United assistant coach Fungai Tostao Kwashi. Ash, very briefly, do you think Caps United can afford to miss Manondo and Murira? They've been struggling with them. And now, when I talked about on yesterday's show, Manondo's goals have dried up, and that's probably one of the reasons why they find themselves so low in the table. Can they pull up an upset here? Because it would be an upset against Highlanders at Barber Fields on Sunday without those two key players.
Well, they can, but yeah, sometimes you think when a team is struggling for confidence and results, then every player counts. And these guys are not just two ordinary players. You know, this is God knows Murira, this is William Manondo. These are experienced players who've been there. William Manondo is Mr. Chibuku, right? And then he's in Botswana, you know, doing something else there as well. So yeah, they are going to miss them. I feel Caps need this. They need this win. They need something for their season. They need something for their 50th anniversary, for being honest. I actually would have preferred Tostao if it had come out. You know, this is just me. This would have been refreshing or just said, hey, we've tripled their bonuses and said, hey, if you win this match, maybe there's something there. I don't know, add something to this team, make them motivated again, because maybe that fire is something that's missing. Sometimes, you know, when you lose it becomes familiar. Everything becomes so familiar, and maybe sometimes they're not moved enough to change things. So they genuinely need to win. That's Caps United. I don't know. I didn't hear enough from Fungai Kwashi as well about what exactly they have changed in there, or maybe motivated the players. On its own, as a quarterfinal, it should be a motivator, but I don't know, for a team that's struggling for results and that's struggling for confidence, and you hear from Blessing Sarupinda, they're saying everything and they are hearing what fans are saying. This team just needs a break, and I hope they get it. I hope they get it on Sunday. Highlanders don't have Ariel Sibanda now, I think, and Kelvin Kamfu Panda is also injured as well. So that the injury list, then Peter Mdua is captain elsewhere. So you never know. Maybe things can turn out well for Caps on Sunday if this match goes their way.
If this match goes their way, yes, indeed, you did mention the Highlanders will also be missing their goalkeeper, Ariel Sibanda. He's been out of form a little bit, or maybe, I guess you could say the entire defense has been out of form because they've been conceding goals for fun. But he picked up a knock during that loss to Wange over the weekend, so he will probably not be available between the sticks against Makepekepe. Meanwhile, the last 8 game between Herentos and Gezi Platinum Stars has been moved from Mandawa Stadium to the National Sports Stadium, as you said earlier in the show, making it the second game to be held at the Giant facility after it was reopened recently. Kickoff remains at 1 p.m. on Sunday. Okay, so as promised on Monday's show, it's time for your Division 1 roundup. Of course, Simba Chiminya, our encyclopedia when it comes to the second tier of Zimbabwean football, is here, letting us know what is happening in the second tier. Take it away, Simba.
Yeah, thank you, Rukudzo. I think that, you look at the northern region, it's really getting tougher because there were games yesterday, and the log leaders, Black Mambas, were held to a goalless draw by Karoe United, and this allowed Harare City to close in, and now they've got a gap of 5 points. And the biggest winners of the day were Moz, coached by Lloyd Mtasa. They beat Concession United 5-0, and now Concession, Moz have got a big game at the weekend where they're going to play Golden Eagles. Golden Eagles also managed to win yesterday 2-1 over Chinoy Stars. And for Golden Eagles, I think, at the start of the season, they were one of the preseason favorites, but it looks like the league title is now out of their reach, 13 points behind the log leaders. And they changed coaches. At first it was Gilbert Mshanga Jike, then came in Mark Mate, and now the person who was the assistant, Philip Figo Stole, is now in charge. He got his first win yesterday. So at the top it's Black Mambas on 47 points, and then on second position is Harare City, followed by Herentos under 20, and then there is also Chegutu Pirates, who managed to win yesterday against ZRP Harare, and it looks like it's going to be another tough battle for the championship in the northern region, because the teams that are at the top are also dropping points, allow others to come in. But where I see there is now real battle is in the eastern region, because you look at the team that is number 1, Wangu Mazods on 45 points, Tenex on 45 points, a game in hand, and also you have Rusuti Tigers on 41 points, and then you have Bikita Minerals on 40 points, and then you also have Mtare City on 38 points, and then you have a team on number 6, Buffaloes, on 35 points, and you have all these 6 teams. They have a chance to win the league title. Like I said last week, that the team that has impressed me most is Rusiti Tigers, a team that is from Chimanimani, and not much in terms of exposure from that side, but they've got some quality players. One goalkeeper called Tondera Ndirai. You just think it's Ndiraya, but Ndirai. And then there's also a Ghanaian who is also one of their best players, is also a winger. So it's real tough in the eastern region. And in the central region, at first we thought that Tier 1 were going to run away with it, and they at some point had a healthy lead ahead of Tongogara, but they lost to Dulibadzimu in Bedbridge. Efani Gwawa, who is on loan from Dynamo, scored that for Dulibadzimu against Tier 1, and now is a 3-point gap between Tier 1 and Tongogara. So Tongogara needs to also win this weekend against MSU. It's a big game for them, and it looks likely also that ZPC Munyati are coming back into the picture because they are now on 31 points and the log leaders are on 40 points. So if they continue winning their games, then there's a possibility that they can also catch up because they also brought in some quality players during the mid-season transfer window. Alfred Chiname, the goalkeeper who was with Mtare City, is now there, and there's also Charles Mtero who was with Tier 1 and lots of experience from him. And then in the southern region, not much changes at the top. Is still Arena Movers who are on top, and then there is also ZPC Munyati 5 points behind. Talent Vision are slowly coming up, but it looks like the two top teams, Talent Vision, Arena Movers and ZPC Munyati, are the ones that are going to tussle it for the championship. So for the dark horses, it remains Talent Vision and Adachi who are on number 4.
Thank you very much, Simba. A comprehensive look at your Division 1 football status at the moment. I hope that listener who asked for that on Monday was listening. We always keep our promises. Simba Chiminya, of course, always up to date with Division 1. Some of your messages here. Jaden Msonza, you're asking how far hearing between the Dynamos and Highlanders, the PSO Disciplinary Committee. Of course, it was held on Tuesday, but they always withhold the ruling for a couple of weeks. So we'll be waiting to hear exactly what happens. Pretty sure you'll be hearing that Dynamos will be awarded those 3 points on a 3-0 walkover. Peter Mdua, he says a brilliant choice. Sfunama Doda Sivili, very happy, probably a Highlanders fan there. And hello Rukuzo Chelema Binya, Gamecocks Bora. It's you, Wachihera. Pawulayo there, thank you for listening. And then Anzi, good evening, sports team. Why is Brito appointing Captain Mdua? Anzi, not discipline. And then this is Mboma Pa Warren Park, not at all happy with that selection.
This is World Sport on the Daily Sports Zone.
Okay, so the EFL Cup 4th round draw was held last night. Manchester United will face Newcastle in a repeat of last season's final. Of course, the Red Devils emerging with a 2-0 win at Wembley to lift the trophy. West Ham United will be hosting Arsenal. Bournemouth are at home to Liverpool. Everton host Sean Dyche's old club Burnley. And then we have Chelsea hosting Blackburn. This is after Chelsea managed to register a 1-0 win over Brighton. They had to survive a few scares at the back. Robert Sanchez, I guess, leaving a few hearts in their throats for Blues fans before Nicholas Jackson scored his second goal in a Blues shirt. There we have a Blues fan in studio. We have not been talking much about Chelsea, so here's the opportunity. Ash,
what do you mean?
Is this?
What do you mean haven't been talking much about Chelsea?
No, on the Daily Sports Zone.
You haven't been doing your job properly then. That's what it means. Because you know what? Because Chelsea makes the news, whether they lose, whether they win, you know. And beating Brighton, look, they needed a win. But I thought for me, I actually felt happier for Everton yesterday over Aston Villa because they need something. I mean, relegation every year, it's tough for them. But for Chelsea, I think Nicholas Jackson needed that goal, and I think everyone they just needed that game yesterday. You know, Sanchez is his former team. I guess there were nerves. I don't know where they came from, but yeah, he wasn't himself yesterday. But a 1-0 win is good, and against Blackburn, Chelsea will fancy their chances, even if it is a struggling Chelsea at this point. So maybe the EFL Cup can be a saving grace, you know, for Mauricio Pochettino. Maybe he can get something. I mean, look, a coach who's struggling now won the EFL Cup last season, right? Erik ten Hag, you know, so maybe you win that and, you know, you stay in the job, you know, so it can be a face saver. So I'm really happy that Chelsea finally got something. I think yesterday the actual smaller teams, even a Brentford, you know, they lost 1-0, but they really gave it everything. I think there are teams in there that really fought their hearts out. The effort, it didn't feel like an EFL Cup, you know, it felt like something else as well because clubs, I think, players are playing for something more. So for Chelsea, yeah, good win for them. And then I don't know if normal service resumes this weekend, you know, they start losing again as they've been doing. But yeah, it's refreshing to say Chelsea have actually won a football game, you know, at home this season, you know, against a good side like Brighton. So it was actually a good win yesterday. I enjoyed that one.
very, very good win. Some breaking news that emerged in about the last hour or so. Barcelona have been charged with suspected bribery for payments worth more than $7.4 million made to companies linked to the former vice president of the refereeing committee, named Jose Maria Enriquez Negreira. According to judicial sources, former Barca presidents Josep Maria Bartomeu and Sandro Rosell also stand accused of the same charges as do Negreira and his son. So obviously that story is certain to explode in the next few hours and days. We'll keep abreast of it for you. Barcelona looking at some very serious charges there. And then talking rugby briefly, Japan play Samoa in a pivotal Pool D match at 9 p.m. this evening. Both sides are level on 5 points after 2 games, and a win in this game will be huge in the battle for second place behind England. The Roses are almost certain to top the pool. And then we have Argentina also among Japan and Samoa trying to get to the quarterfinals. So a very, very big game this evening. Let's close off with some of your messages on the WhatsApp platform. As the high sports team, I heard Teenage Hadebe's team, that is Houston Dynamo, won against Inter Miami last night in the US Open Cup final. Indeed, that did happen. Messi was not playing. He was injured. You're saying you're very happy for him. And then another one here saying, and kepe sungai dzisimbe. That's all you have to say. Mapranga homwe. You're just saying Caps United needs to be. I guess I don't have to explain that message. Viper from Budiro 5. And hello, sports, keep up the good work as it stands. Peter, for you, deserves the armband. And with this no Magic Warriors coach Tichaonerera Zvakawanda, mark my words, the Super Green not at all enthused by the appointment of Baltimore Brito. And then a last one for now. Peter Mdua is an excellent defender, but his discipline is questionable. I hope as captain he's going to control his temper. Go Warriors, go, from Teacher B in Bonda Mission. Thank you very much for listening, ladies and gentlemen. That's it for today's edition of the Daily Sports Zone. Big thanks to Simba Chiminya and Ashti Kiwa as the pundits. We'll be back again tomorrow evening, 6:05 down to 6:30. Right now, we have the Skywalker, the only black man who dreams in English, and Dumiso carrying you through the after drive. We'll be back again tomorrow evening right here on Star FM, your first choice for sports.